Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to Exploring Tarot. My name is Sandi, and this is going to be episode number 6 in our deep dive series of the Forest of Enchantment Tarot, where we are comparing each card to the cards of the Rider-Waite-Smith and seeing how they compare and which cards take a different perspective on the Rider-Waite-Smith system in the Forest of Enchantment. So we've done all of the majors, and now we're going to dive into the minors, and I'm so excited about this because I don't know about you guys, but whenever I am studying a deck, for some reason I always start with the Fool and work my way through the majors, and then at some point life gets in the way, I lose interest or something else. So I've studied the majors over and over and over again so many times. The minors have been woefully neglected on my part, and I am really excited to get into the minors in this deck and see what they are all about. So let's get started. Okay, so the way I thought we could structure this is we've been following the book so far so that we can look at the big pictures in the book. And the minor arcana is structured in the guidebook in this deck like so, that they go through them numerologically. So they start with the aces, and then they have all of the aces, and then they go on to the twos and so on. So I thought we could do the same thing here. We'll compare all the aces, all the twos, etc. And then at the end we'll take the court cards. So in this video we are going to be going through the aces and the twos. And I think that will give us 8 cards to go through in one video, so it will be quite a long one since we're going to be reading all of this in the guidebook, and I'm also going to read the overall text that they have written for the aces, or for the each number. They include a little bit of text for each number overall. So, starting out here, we have Forest Tales, Minor Arcana. And here it reads, "Take the adventure, heed the call, now ere the irrevocable moment passes. 'Tis but a banging of the door behind you, a blithesome step forward, and you are out of the old life and into the new." And this is a quote by Kenneth Graham. And I'm pretty sure this quote was mentioned earlier in the book for one of the major arcanas. I think maybe for the Fool. So, the aces. Each ace offers you a magical ally, a helpful companion as you journey through the Forest of Enchantment. The allies give you magical tools to use in your quest: a staff, a gazing pool, a silver arrow, and a healing ring. When an ace comes up in a reading, consider it a positive sign. More than one ace is even better. The universe is dealing you a winning hand. Alright, so we're starting out with the Ace of Spells, which would be the Ace of Wands in the regular Rider-Waite-Smith. Now, the illustration styles have been diverging quite a lot in this deck already, and here we see it even more so, but not as diverging as it could be. I mean, we have wands in both the cards. Here we've got a hand coming out from a cloud, just kind of brandishing the wand, showing it off, holding it up to the sky. And we've got this landscape here in the horizon with a castle on a hill. In the Forest of Enchantment, we've got a dragon holding this wand with a big crystal at the edge of it. And it looks like he's infusing that crystal with his magic fire. It's quite a powerful looking card, isn't it? So yeah, let's head into the guidebook and see what they write about it. Ace of Spells. The enchanted ally for spells is the wyvern. There are many types of wyverns, including some that live in the sea. This is a forest wyvern, also known as a fire drake. Its primarily green body is excellent camouflage, and unless you look closely, you may completely miss it perched in a tree above your head, until it breathes a little fire, of course. Don't worry, the fire drakes of the Forest of Enchantment have their fiery nature under control and can channel it perfectly. This ally will help you do the same with yours. The wyvern says, let's heat things up. The wyvern's gift to you is a wizard's staff. The power of the staff depends entirely on the person who wields it. A wizard's staff without a wizard is just a stick. Intention is everything, and magic and the staff directs the wizard's will towards the desired outcome. Your wyvern has added a bit of dragonfire as an extra energy boost. The rest is up to you. Meaning at a glance, a new sense of purpose, a new or revitalized project, magic, will, fearlessness, confidence, a burst of energy, fire element. A closer look. The best way to tell a wyvern from a dragon is to count its legs. 2 legs, a wyvern. 4 legs, a dragon. Oh, I didn't even notice that it didn't have any front paws. Alright, that's cool. Let's have a look in the little white book that's from this tarot deck called Tarot of Wait, sorry. And the book itself is written by Rachel Pollock. Here's the ISBN number in case you're interested in purchasing this deck. So, the Ace of Wands. A white hand emerges out of a grey cloud, as if purpose and firm action come forward out of confusion. The hand holds the emblem of the suit, a stick with leaves, the one emblem that's not man-made. This gives the suit a simplicity, uncomplicated by emotions or ideas, which would be cups and swords, or monetary and practical considerations, which would be pentacles. This is a suit of fire, basic life energy, with the ace as its purest form. This card reminds us we're alive, even in great crisis. It tells us that even the world might burn, life goes on, and we can do something, have an effect. Don't analyze or worry, don't agonize or calculate, just take the first step. The falling leaves take the form of the Hebrew letter Yod. See the tower and aces of cups and swords. The Yod symbol is a light. The letter Yod is a symbol that life comes to us as a continuing gift. Divinatory meanings: life, energy, potency, sexual vitality, action in a crisis, the promise of restoration. Okay, so we've got similar energies here: fire, new energy, bursts of energy. Of course, we've got some more, esoteric symbolism in this card here with the yod symbol. But then there was one thing that caught my attention as I was reading, and that was, let's see now. Yes, the whole part about the wand being the only non-man-made symbol of the suits. And when you think about it, cups and pentacles and swords are all man-made, and this is supposed to depict a stick just picked up from the ground that's been created by nature. So that's quite different here between these two. I mean, in the Ace of Wands here, we've got this stick formed by nature, by a tree, just symbolizing the rawness of life. Whereas here we've got a man-made wand, like a magic wand. And I think that's obviously intentional, since they are called spells instead of wands, this suit, indicating that it's to do with the magic of it, the intention of the suit, the passion behind the suit. So we have some different ways that we can interpret the wands in this case, or the spells, when it comes to the Forest of Enchantment Tarot. Sense of purpose. So, I mean, but overall, the overall, feeling of the cards, the overall meaning of the cards, I feel are quite similar. Symbolizing the energy of the suit, the all-round energy of the suit of wands and spells, with the whole vitality and action in a crisis, kind of the same thing as fearlessness and confidence here. So yeah, let's move on to the Ace of Visions, which will be the Ace of Cups in the Rider-Waite-Smith. So here we have another hand sticking out from a cloud, holding this time a golden cup with some symbolism here that I am not familiar with. We've got a dove holding this symbol, cross symbol here. We've got the W or upside down M, I'm not sure which, or if it's symbolizing a completely different symbol. And this cup is overflowing with water. And here we've got again these water droplets that, according to Rachel Pollack, is shaping the symbol Yod, the Hebrew symbol. And down here we've got a body of water with water lilies all over the surface here. In the Forest of Enchantment Tarot, the Ace of Visions has a beautiful swan on a little pond, and the mirror image of her has a crown and a beautiful necklace and is all sparkly. It looks like it's imagining itself in all its glory, or it's like the inner vision of how the swan sees itself, perhaps. Or maybe the pond is magical and it shows you your desires, kind of like that the mirror of Erised in Harry Potter. There is something else here in the water that I can't quite make out what it is. And I think we're going to turn to the guidebook to see if they explain what these little grey flecks are. If you can see them, I'll lift up the book so that you can see them more properly. Okay, Ace of Visions. The enchanted ally for visions is the swan. Renowned for their grace and beauty, swans are also powerfully strong, fierce and faithful in love. They mate for life in marriages that may last 20 years. Swans are emotional and expressive creatures, calling out in triumph when they roused an enemy, emitting one last lament as they leave this life. The swan says a dream is a wish your heart makes. The swan's gift to you is a tiny enchanted pool in a secluded glade. When the water is still, it becomes a magic mirror. All that you desire is reflected here, and the most importantly, so is your own true self. You have nothing to fear from this. Your swan knows that your true self is noble, pure, and beautiful. Meaning at a glance: serenity, compassion, spirituality, kindness, a new way of seeing, a gift of love, water element. A closer look. Do you see the irises reflected in the water? Irises symbolize the connection between heaven and earth. Alright, so that's what these are. They are irises. I really love the way that you've included all of this extra information, so you don't have to sit and wonder. Right, let's read about the Ace of Cups in the little white book. Ace of Cups, here we go. The famous white hand emerges from the grey cloud and holds forth the cup in an open palm. The image of an outright gift. The hand comes from the right, the side of reason, and holds the cup to the left, emotion. We respond best to this gift if we do so with feeling rather than analysis. This is possibly the most propitious card in the minor arcana, and the most overtly spiritual, for the cup is the Holy Grail. Focus on medieval Christian legends, though possibly with pagan roots. The Grail, like the Celtic cauldron, could heal not just the sick, but the land itself, the wasteland, to use a famous Grail legend term. This sets up the entire theme of the suit, how we can create a new world more spiritually alive after the breakdown of the old. The primary message here is that the gift of spiritual and even physical healing comes to us at every moment. Divinatory meanings: healing, spiritual and physical, a fresh start emotionally. Okay, so again, the overarching meaning of both of these cards are very similar. We both have the feeling of spirituality is being mentioned in both of them. They are both talking about gifts, I believe, and both cards are pertaining to emotions and compassion. Let's have a look here now. Gift of love, fresh start emotionally. I do feel that you can read these quite similarly. However, in this Forest of Enchantment, we also bring in the thought that it's also about serenity, about your own desires in a way, and that you are worthy of these desires and you're worthy of the love that you're receiving. And the magical pool is showing you your true self, which is kind of neat, and also lends itself really well to how you can read different spreads if this card comes up. So that's really interesting distinctions, but again, since this is a Rider-Waite-Smith deck, not a clone, but it's built on the Rider-Waite-Smith system, I definitely see the connection between these two cards. But I also see how this depiction can go its own way, and you can completely just read this book description and run with it. That's definitely something I see in this. Alright, let's crack on and move on to the Ace of Challenges, which would be the same as the Ace of Swords. So, looking at the picture, again in the Rider-Waite-Smith, we've got the cloud hand coming out and offering you a sword with a crown, and I suspect these are mentioned. I cannot see what kinds of plants they are from this depiction. But I hope that the guidebook will let us know. And we see a kind of wasteland or like mountainous land down here without any vegetation or anything. In the Ace of Challenges, we have yet another ally, as they call them. So each suit starts out with an ally as their ace, and this particular animal ally in this card looks to be a white raven, and it's got a piercing blue eye there, kind of giving you the feeling that it's really discerning and kind of thoughtful, strategic. It's holding in its beak an arrow, and it's sitting on a branch with this stark blue background, kind of giving you the feeling that it's winter and the trees are full of snow. But then you see these green flecks behind him, so maybe it's not snow, maybe it's just a very thick fog or mist. Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful bird. If you look really closely as well, on the bird's feathers, you can see that there's hardly any white on this bird at all. It's all coloured in with hues of greys and blues and even some yellows and pinks, and it's super lovely. I adore this card. Alright, so the guidebook says Ace of Challenges. The enchanted ally for challenges is the white raven. Ravens are birds of fabled intelligence, both worldly and otherworldly. The white raven's particular expertise is strategic communication. He knows when you should speak and when you should be silent. His shrewd eyes pierces to the heart of the matter. Call upon him only if you really want the truth. He is your spy, your advocate, your battle cry. The white raven says, think and stay alive. The raven's gift to you is a silver arrow that never misses its mark. Part of its enchantment is in the arrow itself, but the magic is completed through your focus and the ethics of your motive. If your aim is true, you cannot fail. Meaning at a glance: intelligent, discernment, insight, focus, communication, strategy, an advantage in a challenge or conflict, air element. A closer look: a pure silver arrow shot straight into the heart releases all evil from an adversary. This can be done on an etheric plane as well. Wow, okay, so I did kind of catch on with the piercing eye here and the intelligence of the raven. And something that I picked up on now, which I don't know why I didn't see before, is that just as the aces in the RWS are symbolized as these cloud hands bringing you a gift, the gift of a cup, the gift of a wand or baton, or the gift of a sword, so do all of these allies bring us gifts in each of the aces in the Forest of Enchantment. So the wyvern had a wand that it gifted us, the swan had the pool or the magic pool enchanted pool. And the raven here has this silver arrow. Alright, so moving on to the little white book, the Ace of Swords. Each suit presents its own part in the struggle for a new creation. Swords bring the most difficult part, the acceptance of everything we've lost. Whether the great change will come through actual destruction or more gradually, there is a level at which we resist change. The mind does not want to absorb it, and so we see figures in this suit who are blindfolded or covering their faces or moving away from us, their faces hidden. At the base of the suit, however, lies the ace, the strongest and most difficult of the aces. This is the power of mind, but also destruction. The yods this time take the form of drops of light to illuminate difficult truths. The hand appears to hold the sword tightly, as if it's difficult to hold. Like the sword of justice, it points straight up for absolute truth as it pierces through the crown of earthly power to something greater. Divinatory meanings: truth, illumination, a calm mind in the face of difficulties. Wow, okay, so that was a really good write-up by Rachel Pollack there. I really enjoyed that. And again, as you have already probably discerned, they are both quite similar. They both speak to intelligence and discernment, communication and truth, illumination, communication and strategy. So they are both talking about the same thing. However, and also the calm mind in the face of difficulties in this book, and an advantage in a challenge or conflict here. And I think that's really important. But also, it seems like in the Rachel Pollack book, she doesn't really mention the correspondence to the elements very much that I can recall now. Here we've got that the aces are the corresponding element is mentioned on each of the aces here in the Forest of Enchantment, and I think that's very useful. What else can I say? The picture or the book here in the Little White Book talks about destruction as well, and how we handle destruction, and how we I really liked how she was talking about the people that we were walking away, and that we are resisting change, and that is something that I think it says here challenge and conflict, but it doesn't speak to the resistance of change in this write-up at all. So I think that's really interesting. But I also really love the name of this suit, Ace of Challenges, which really speaks to what the sword suit is all about, and I think that's very helpful as well. So, cracking on, because we've got a lot to go through this time around. We are now already at the last ace, and that is the Ace of Boons, which is the Ace of Pentacles. Okay, so Ace of Pentacles, another hand gifting us a huge coin with a pentacle in its center. And underneath here, we've got a luscious garden with a hedge and roses and lilies growing. So we've got a sense of abundance here in the Ace of Pentacles. In the Ace of Boons, which we find here a happy frog or toad sitting here guarding his treasure, a ring It seems to be magical of some kind. We've got luscious greenery in the background. It does not look like ferns. I can't tell what kind of plant it is though. And we've got some spirals here as well. I really love this card. It's so green and luscious, and the toad here, it just looks so, I don't know, comfortable with who he is and where he is. So, Ace of Boons. The enchanted ally for Boons is the toad. First things first, never confuse a toad with a frog. Okay, I'm sorry. It offends them both. Oh no, I've offended my boon ally. Oh, it offends them both, and you definitely want to stay on your toad's good side. Oh no, for he is a luck magnet. His specialities are healing and prosperity, but he is helpful with any kind of manifestation you might need. This is why toads have long been associated with witches and wizards. Sorceresses in particular have always known the benefits of a toad partnership when it comes to manifestation spells. She sends out the magic and Toad brings it home. The Toad says, keep all your feet on the ground. The Toad's gift to you is a toadstone ring. Toadstones are not the most attractive amulets, perhaps, but their power is legendary. A toadstone is an all-purpose antidote and changes color in the presence of any poison. Toadstone rings also protect against curses and other supernatural mischief. Meaning at a glance: prosperity, healing, luck, practical applications of magic, earth element. A closer look: if a toad offers you a toadstone, it is considered rude to ask him where he got it. Just say thank you. Oh dear. So, jumping straight into the guidebook of the Tarot of A.E. Waite. We are going to read the last of the aces, the Ace of Pentacles. The first thing we might notice is that there are no yods, no leaves, drops of water or light. This does not make this ace less spiritual or less of a gift. We still see a white hand emerge from a cloud, but this is the gift of earth, of solid reality. In Pentacles we see the task and the promise of putting together a world. Wands gave us life energy, cups, vision, swords, the mind coming to terms with pathetic truths. Pentacles make it possible to go beyond all that and fulfill the prophecy. At the same time, we should remember that the pentacle itself, a 5-pointed star, is in a circle filled with golden light, is a symbol of magic, the human body as a link between heaven and earth. Our new world must never forget the spirit power that makes it all possible. Divinatory meanings: a good start to a project, offers of money or work. So, I love how Rachel Pollack wove together all of the aces in this description here, talking about wands as the life energy that gave us the life energy, the cups with the vision, which also explains the name of the suit of visions, and then also swords as the mind coming to terms with our pathetic truth. Wow. And pentacles making it possible to go beyond all that and fulfill the prophecy. So, yeah, we are talking prosperity, healing, luck, good start to a project, money, work. But I personally have also because of the earth element, I also kind of think of the pentacle suits as anything, well, earthly, anything that brings us comfort, anything that is human in the sense of being warm and like family-like, and I'm having a hard time expressing myself here now, but I'm thinking even, just sitting in front of a fire, eating good food, enjoying life in its simplicity, appreciating the little things in life. That's the Pentacles for me as well. So, and I really feel that is something that this whole expressing of the symbol of the pentacle in the pentacle suit or the coin suit, I think a lot of people often forget about that, or that's the feeling I get when people talk about the pentacle suit. They often just focus on the material things, the money part of it. But Rachel writes about the pentacle and how it symbolizes the magic and the human body and the link between heaven and earth. And I think that's really beautiful, and something that is probably why Pentacles are, I think, with the Cups, my favorite suits. So, moving along, cracking along to the twos. Let's put this down and change out the cards. We are starting out with a general reading of the twos, so the numerological side of it. Twos. You could say that the twos are really the first card in the major arcana, because this is where the stories start. Each of the twos shows what you need to do first to do well with that particular suit. Whatever you will face in your journey through the forest, having the twos in your metaphorical backpack will serve you well. The Two of Spells says clarify your intention. The Two of Visions says open your heart. The Two of Challenges says know yourself. The Two of Boons says balance your responsibilities. Ooh. I really like these little write-ups here as well. So, starting out with the Two of Spells, the Two of Wands here. So, starting out with the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith card here, we've got the Two of Wands, we've got a person staring out to the sea, holding a globe in one hand and a staff or a wand in the other. Behind him we also have a wand. He's standing up high on some kind of rooftop, it looks like, almost. We can see the landscape beneath him, the houses and some mountains in the distance, and the harbor here. And it looks like he's standing there planning something, like he's dreaming away, like trying to plot out where in the world he wants to go. He looks like a traveler, like an explorer in my mind. All right, and in contrast, in the Two of Spells, we've got a person sitting on his knees, on their knees. All right, so in the Two of Spells, in contrast, we've got a person sitting on their knees, casting what looks like Ogham runes, trying to predict the future, it looks like, or trying to perhaps trigger some thoughts about what to do next. So we can definitely see a connection between these two. He is planning, trying to discern what he wants to do. You could actually also look at that globe and pretend that it is a crystal ball, if you please. And then we have an even stronger connection between these two cards. He is, using some kind of divination system here, which I do believe is Ogham, to try and make a decision, it looks like. So the guidebook says, Two of Spells. This is a place of power where ancient wood wisdom is sought. After paying his respect to the trees, the seeker kneels on the forest floor and takes out a set of small wooden staves, or staves. They are carved with symbols that make up an ancient divinatory alphabet, each symbol corresponding to a tree or a shrub. These staves were created over many years, the pieces of wood gathered slowly from different trees, so that each contains the wisdom of that tree. Casting the staves or staves upon the ground, the seeker pores over the patterns, discerns the message, clarifies the questions. He listens to what the trees have to tell him. The first step of any spell is to determine what you want. Without a clear intention, your magic will fail. Consulting an oracle can be part of the process of beginning any endeavor. You are doing so right now with these cards. One interpretation of the Two of Spells might be, ask again. Go ahead, draw another card or two. Meaning at a glance, divination, decision, setting an intention, the beginning of solving the problem or changing the situation. A closer look, the staves in his hands are you to the left and older to the right. Older is for prophecy and oracular powers, and the maker of these staves says yew was historically used for wooden Ogham staves. It is a deep, dense, dark, rich wood full of resonance with the other world. Alright, so Two of Spells is then described as such in the little white book. Two of Wands. A well-dressed man stands on what looks like a castle wall. He holds one wand as if ready to use it, maybe as a walking stick if he will leave his castle in search of adventure. The other, however, stands bolted to the wall, symbol of responsibilities, security, safety, whatever might hold him back. He holds a globe in his hand. Does it represent his desire for action or his fears of global disaster? The ace kept everything simple, pure energy, action. 2 brings in choice and thus doubt. In a crisis, with everything shifting or gone, do you try to protect what you have, or do you go forth into a new world that might be emerging from the breakdown of the old? In more everyday situations, the card can show the dilemma of someone who has used one's fire energy to build a life, but now the energy seeks new things. Divinatory meanings, choosing between security and adventure, responsibility, or desire. Ooh, alright. Now I'm really enjoying the write-ups in both of these books. Now, I feel that the divining aspect is what really sets this description in the Forest of Enchantment apart. They don't really talk explicitly about choices in the Two of Spells. They talk about, where to go next, making decisions, setting an intention and solving problems. But they do not talk about making a choice. And I feel that the depiction in the Rider-Waite-Smith here really hammers that home with the one staff ready to go and the other staff being bolted down to the castle. What's keeping him home? What's keeping him back to go out and do what he's dreaming of doing here? So that's something that I feel is missing here, if I'm being honest. But then we, in that regard, we do get the extra layer of divination and of making a decision informed from your like your intuition and your life force, so to speak. Seeing as this is the wand suit or the fire element suit. So yeah, these, I would read these quite differently, definitely. And it's getting interesting now when they are starting to diverge a little bit from each other. And that's why, I mean, if every single card was a Rider-Waite-Smith clone, then what would be the point in buying any other cards? Really. I really like it when decks puts their own spin onto things. And if I want to read with this kind of interpretation, then, you know, I always have my Rider-Waite-Smith clones, don't I? So, moving along to the Two of Visions, otherwise known in the Forest of Enchantment as the Two of Cups. Now, here we see some rather striking similarities. We have two people facing each other, looking into each other's eyes in both cards. But here's where the similarities kind of end. We've got these two people holding cups, and this person is reaching out their hand to touch this person's hand. We also have some esoteric symbolism here with this lion with wings and the two snakes circling around or spiraling around this staff. We also have these laurel wreath on this person's head, and I think this might be roses around this person's head. This kaftan that he's wearing here is looking quite a lot like the salamander kaftan that the Knight of Wands wear, which would be funny if this would be the knight who's courting somebody here. But yeah, I've never considered that before. And in the Forest of Enchantment here, we've got two lovely ladies holding hands, and this depiction here with the red garb and the white garb really brings to mind the fairy tale of Snow White and Rose Red. At least that's what they were called. If that is what they would have been called if I translate it straight from the Swedish version, because that's what I've been brought up with. And that was the tale of two sisters that were two complete opposites of each other. One was dark-haired and always wore red, and they had, and the other was fair and or light-haired and had always white clothing, and they each had a rose bush each planted on the yard, one with red roses and one with white roses. And there was something specific about those bushes as well, some magical bond between them and their life or something. I cannot remember now. I'm going to have to reread that fairy tale again soon. I really love this depiction just because that fairy tale was very one of my favorites as a kid, and one that not many people had heard about where I came from. Alright, so the guidebook says, Two of Visions. Though both women felt compelled to go into the forest that day, they never were able to fully explain it. It was as if each had lost something in the woods, suddenly remembered it, and ran back to claim it. Separately, one from the east and one from the west, they hurried forward as if late for an assignation. Darting into the clearing at the same moment, they beheld each other for the first time, and yet both instantly knew this was why they had been called. For too many years each had walked a lonely path, each with an empty place at the center of their being. Now they meet at the heart of the forest, their hands entwining, their eyes shining in recognition of the other half of their soul. This card signifies that the beloved is nigh. This may be a romance, a true friend of the heart, or even a spiritual awareness breaking through. Something that has been missing is about to be found. You will know it without doubt when it appears. Meaning at a glance. Recognition of a significant other, a new romance, kindred spirits, true friendship, sisterhood, brotherhood. A closer look. Red and white roses together symbolize a pure and enduring love. Okay, and rushing on to the Tarot of A.E. Waite guidebook, we've got the Two of Cups. A man and a woman, both of them solemn and strong, hold up their cups to each other, with the man reaching out his hand to the woman. Between the cups, as if generated by their joint energy, rises the ancient magical symbol of the caduceus, two snakes wound around a column. Usually wings will appear at the top, but here we see a lion's head as well, an alchemical image of transformation. Today we associate the caduceus with the medical profession, but in ancient times it belonged to Hermes, god of magic and wisdom, and according to a modern myth, creator of the tarot itself. Modern tarot sees this card as a romantic relationship, possibly a commitment. Here we can see something deeper, people coming together to create a new world. Notice the basic equality of the man and the woman, and the energy generated between them. This new society will be one of equality and cooperation. Divinatory meanings, people coming together in a powerful way, dedication to a high purpose, traditionally a romantic relationship. Okay, so they both speak to romantic relationship. They both speak to coming together. Of course, we have more symbolism and such here in the Rider-Waite-Smith, but it feels like this depiction is perhaps a bit more romantically inclined. Of course, you can read that in this Two of Cups as well, but for some reason I also kind of feel like this can also be read as more of a business relationship if you want to, or obviously it's the cups, but you can't it doesn't have to just be emotional relationships even just because it's cups. I mean, you might be emotionally invested into this relationship, yes, but I see two people coming together, finding a commonality and coming together as these two people are doing in these cards. There was something about this that struck me when I was reading it. And that is, it feels like all the other depictions in the book, or the write-ups in the book, haven't been this straightforward with, trying to make predictions. It feels like this card signifies that the beloved is nigh, a romance, true friend of the heart. Something has been missing, has been found. You will know it without a doubt. It feels so, grand and predictive, and I find it a little bit funny. I would read this as love or friendship or sisterhood, like it says here in the book as well, but I would also see it as, I don't know, coming together, reconciling, maybe after an argument, finding commonality, finding friendship, connecting through the heart space. I don't know, if I do really feel you can see the affection in the faces of these characters in this card, and I really love that. Alright, next card up is the Two of Challenges, otherwise known in the Rider-Waite-Smith as the Two of Swords. Here we see a woman sitting on a bench facing you and putting her back towards a gloomy looking sea. It is dark outside and the moon is shining, and she's holding two swords upright, pointing in either direction, and she's blindfolded. And it definitely looks like she's facing some kind of difficult situation, a choice of some kind. In the Two of Challenges here, we see a man looking into an enchanted mirror. And I don't know if he likes what he's seeing. I'm not really sure how to read this card. And that is why it's so interesting to go through these cards and comparing it to the Rider-Waite-Smith. Because again, the Two of Challenges, air suit, sword suit, traditionally I've learned that it has to do with choices, picking the right path, thinking strategically about what to do next, etc. And I don't, intuitively myself see that here. So let's just read what the guidebook has to say instead of me sitting here babbling a bunch of nonsense. So, Two of Challenges. Traveling through the forest, a young man suddenly comes upon a magic mirror blocking his path. Okay, so it's blocking the path. The looking glass hangs in mid-air with no visible means of support and no way to remove it. The forest is thick with undergrowth here. He can't go forward, he can't go around, and he doesn't want to go back. So he chooses the obvious solution, He looks into the mirror. He sees himself exactly as he is. No mystical vision or otherworldly entity, just his own startled, wide-eyed self. You may have gotten into a situation from which there is no obvious positive movement forward. This card signifies a pause for clarification. Not about the situation, but about your place in it. You can't go any farther on the path until you take a long look at yourself. Stop being in denial about your own faults and failings. Stop distracting yourself to avoid facing the truth. You will make better progress when you are clearer about your true intentions. Meaning at a glance, stalemate, inability to compromise, a pause for contemplation. A closer look. Mirrors have a long history in the world of enchantment. While you may on occasion see other beings in the mirror, remember that it is also a magical power to truly see yourself. Okay, wow. I love that. I love that depiction and the write-up of it. It's a little bit difficult to see that he's on a path that's not moving forward, so I think that's if we would have been a little bit zoomed out from this picture and we would have seen a path and the thickness of the undergrowth being so thick and the mirror standing in the way in the path, I might have gotten there myself. But in this case, it just feels like he's standing, by some greenery and a mirror. So, but... yeah, okay, so I can see that, the stalemate, the inability to compromise. I can see how it can relate to the Two of Swords, but let's look at what Rachel Pollack writes here in the Two of Swords. Commitment to painful truth can be a burden, and so we see someone who has retreated into isolation and denial. She has blindfolded herself and now holds her swords like a barrier to anyone or any reality that might try to approach her. Holding the swords that way blocks her heart and lungs and raises her center of gravity, so that ironically someone who comes too close without making noise could tip her over into the rough water. Denial is a dangerous state. This holds true on the personal level as well as the larger one, for if we refuse to look at our problems, they can hurt us all the more. We can find a more positive view if we consider her posture as a meditative state. Then we might say that she has closed off outer stimulation, including people, so that she can send her attention inwards. In such a state, she may become an oracle, a speaker of prophecy. Divinatory meanings: denial, closing off from others, alternatively a deep inner state, prophecy. Okay, so we have the similarities here of denial, a stalemate, trying to find a way around things, contemplation, meditation. Definitely. I feel like I've been reading some other books that primarily always speaks to this card as the choice card. And I mean, I'm sure it can be looked at and read that way as well, but neither of these write-ups focuses in particular on the choice that she has to make or they have to make. It's mostly speaking about denial and finding a solution and going inward and seeing the truth of the matter, facing yourself, and that you are avoiding to face your truth. So that's really interesting and really helpful to me in reading this. I'm already learning so much. Yeah. All right, let's move along to the last card, the Two of Boons, which is the Two of Pentacles in the Rider-Waite-Smith. So this, you can see the similarities here, right? We have a man dressed in red in both cards. Like the clothing even looks slightly similar. And in the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith card, we have him holding two pentacles, and there's this lemniscate twisting around them, and he's standing on one foot, looking like he's balancing, trying to balance these two pentacles in his hands. I don't know what the big hat symbolizes, but I think it looks funny. In the background, we have here a stormy sea and two ships that are trying to weather the storm as well. And in the Two of Boons, we have here a young man balancing his two big baskets full of driftwood or maybe firewood, walking across this bridge, and underneath the bridge we have a bridge troll, probably calling back to the stormy sea here in the Rider-Waite-Smith, that they are balancing on top of or in spite of the imminent danger here in the background or underneath the bridge. I don't know. I find this depiction really interesting. I love and adore trolls and the troll lore and myths. So I'm really excited to hear what it says. Two of Boons. A villager has been gathering firewood in the forest and is now wending his way home. The heavy baskets make a precarious burden, so keeping his balance on the narrow bridge should command his full attention. But his mind is elsewhere, not fully present with his task. It would be all too easy to fall off the bridge and smash on the rocks below, not a pleasant prospect, even before you factor in the ogre. Wait, the ogre? An ogre is hiding under the bridge? This is a ferocious cannibal, and he would make quick work of the man if he fell. This card is a warning to not take on more than you can safely balance and attend to. There is something called the lazy man's load, where a person piles on the cargo to avoid having to make a second trip. This rarely ends well. Work sensibly and give your full attention to the endeavor, or all could be lost. There are hidden influences just waiting for you to slip up. Meaning at a glance: balance, steady attention, agility, taking care of your assets. A closer look: ogres tend to blend into their surroundings, so they aren't always easy to spot. Vigilance is called for. If possible, peek under all bridges before crossing. Oh, love that. All right, and the last read from a guidebook today is going to be the Ace of Pentacles. If I can get there today. There we go. Sorry, the Two of Pentacles. I'm getting tired, I feel. All right, Two of Pentacles. A lively young man seems to dance or play with a pair of pentacles in a ribbon shaped like the infinity sign. Behind him, a pair of ships ride the waves of a rolling sea. How we see the meaning depends on how we read the card's mood. Does he seem to be having fun? We might view the sea as stormy, but also cartoon-like. Does he lightly juggle the pentacles, or is he having trouble holding them? To put it another way, are they light or heavy? Do you see his face as playful or anxious? The Ace gave us single-minded purpose, but here the practical work begins. We need to balance or juggle different needs and obligations. Do we do it with grace or anxiety? The infinity sign links him to the magician and strength, or maybe his responsibilities seem endless. Divinatory meanings: juggling or balancing different tasks and responsibilities. Can we do them playfully, or do they become a burden? Wow, okay, I love both of these descriptions so much, and I feel like they are feeding into each other really well. They both speak to balancing and juggling, but here in this card, I dropped my poker earlier, so I'm gonna have to point with this one. So where was I now? Yes, in this card they are talking about the balancing and focusing your attention on your task, whereas in this one they are more talking about the way he is approaching the situation. Is he having fun, or is he anxious? Is he single-mindedly putting his mind onto his work? Or, well, I guess there is the similarity. Like, how is this person approaching this situation he's got at hand, and how is he balancing that the responsibilities in life? That's where I want to get. That's what I wanted to say. We all have different responsibilities. Some might be small waves, some might be bigger waves. How we balance them depends a lot on our outlook on things, and how we what kind of mood, or what kind of how we approach things. I can't think of the best way to say it. I'm sorry for my babbling. But I hope you understand what I'm getting at. A small wave can become a big wave if we approach it with a doomsday frame of mind, if you understand my meaning. And yeah, I really love both of these depictions. I love the greenery in here, and this old wooden bridge and the ogre, or sorry, the old stone bridge and the ogre, and the whole thing. It's just so beautiful. I love Morela's art. But I really, really appreciated the write-up here in the little guidebook. I loved it very, very much. Especially the whole part about we need to balance or juggle different needs and obligations. Do we do it with grace or anxiety? And that part is our choice, isn't it? Most of the time, obviously. We can become so overwhelmed that we don't really have the choice to choose how we approach things anymore. But it was our choice, or it was our way of approaching it in the first place, and that hence the warning that we get in the Two of Boons to divide up our work in a sensible way, to not take on too much at once. So yeah, I think that these two cards have two different approaches, but I think they complement each other really, really well. So yeah, now we've been through the aces and the twos, and in our next episode we are going to go through the threes and the fours. So I hope that you have enjoyed this episode of exploring the Enchanted Forest, and I thank you so much for joining me, for being here, for learning and exploring this tarot deck with me. And please drop some comments down below on your thoughts about these cards. I would be so happy to read them and reply to them and talk about these cards with you. So, thanks again for watching. Please take care of yourselves. Be well, my friends, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.